Am I an asshole for my boyfriend cheating on his girlfriend with me? I'm only 16 and he's 17. His girlfriend is also 16. And they started dating in January. Me and her weren't really close friends, but me and her boyfriend were. And we knew each other for a long time. But near the beginning of June, we started hanging out more. And it's a regular thing for me to have sleepovers with boys. I've never done anything sexual with them though. We were hanging out super late and we decided that he should stay the night. His girlfriend was at her house and obviously I know me and her are friends, but she's always accused us of cheating. And we weren't. I always make the guys sleep in our guest room. But me and him were both laying on the bed and we fell asleep and accidentally we woke up cuddling. And we just kind of kissed. We both pulled away because he was dating my friend and we immediately told her. She immediately started calling me a slut and saying that I should unalive myself. The next day she continued calling me, telling me how much of a shitty person I am and that I was never a good friend. And that I don't deserve anything. She said that they were going to work things out, but they didn't. And now him and I are happily dating. But she goes over to his house because his family loves her and hates me. He still constantly posts mean things about me. Am I the asshole for dating someone new a day after my ex and I broke up? I was dating this girl I met in middle school, and we dated for almost a year, until she broke up with me. Fast forward to high school, we started to date again. Being the first time since we saw each other since COVID, we started talking. 2 days later, started dating. A couple months passed, and now it's summer break. We used to text a lot, and over time, it just slowly became less and less. They wouldn't answer me unless I visibly had something wrong. Then I couldn't get them to talk to me for about a month because they ghosted me. And at a sleepover with 2 of my friends, I texted them telling them we need to talk, and we ended up breaking up. I didn't cry because it felt like we were broken up a lot longer. The next day, my friends go home, and honestly, I realized I liked one of my other friends who was there the day before. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to break up with them. I was done with them ignoring me. I was just so done with them ignoring me. Started dating my girlfriend. It's been so much nicer than my last relationship. Later, I get cussed out by their cousins, explaining it was because of their mental health that they weren't answering me, and overall just telling me I was such an ass. Story time about my best friend's boyfriend telling everyone that she died. My friend and her ex-boyfriend started dating in June and again in July. Their thing didn't work out in the end because he would constantly call her, insult her, and she had to block him on Snapchat for those reasons. Unfortunately, she got into a bad car accident and after 24 hours, she went into a coma for a week. During that week, a hacker went onto her account saying that she unfortunately died in that car accident. They even went as far to prove themselves by posting the car that she went into during that car accident. On Friday morning, she woke up after being in a coma and saw that her password didn't work, and that the only person that knew her password was her ex. So she went into her alternate account on Snapchat and she texted me. She said that she couldn't get into her account and that she thinks her ex is to blame. I bring up the fact that her location on Snapchat was near her ex's place. And guys, you guys can always submit stories to me on my Instagram DM. Thanks. I'm an asshole for leaving my visually impaired friends in a water park that they were unfamiliar with. My boyfriend and I planned a vacation with a few friends. Call them Betty, Joe, and Derek. Betty and Joe were a couple and are visually impaired, along with Derek and I. My boyfriend is sighted and therefore did all the driving. When we picked up Betty and Joe from the airport, it took us an hour to find them because they didn't know the name of their airplane. Immediately upon getting in our car, they started blasting the music like they owned the place. The next day, as we were heading to the park, Betty and Joe were constantly kissing and hugging in our car while I was in the back seat. They started to make jokes about gay people and Chinese people. Derek, my other friend who came with us, is Chinese and also gay. Betty and Joe knew that he was gay, but not about him being Chinese. But even though they didn't know, you shouldn't make jokes about that. They also immediately handed their stuff they brought with them to my boyfriend as if he was a bellboy. They didn't ask him to hold it, they just handed it to him. That pissed me off. Me, Derek, and my boyfriend left them stranded at the park. It took them 6 hours to find their way back. The next day, went back to the theme park and left them stranded at the hotel. So am I the asshole for this? Am I the asshole for hating my dad? Don't get me wrong, he buys me food, gives me a home, and gives me clothes, but he's just not there. When he is home, he sleeps or is talking with his girlfriend. My parents got a divorce and my mom had a kid before she met my dad and is about to have her second with her new boyfriend. She tries her best to be there for us, but she just can't. My dad wasn't born in the US and used my mom for a green card. They argue a lot and sometimes it gets physical. We've called the cops already, but they can't do much. Now here's the thing, my dad is the cause for all of this. He used my mom and does not care what he does or says, and he likes to start things. One time during arguing with my grandma, she told him that he's hurting us with arguing, and he said he didn't care about my mom and told her that she should have had an abortion with me. He never says sorry and is so lazy, so am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for talking to a guy that was also talking to someone else? So, I've been talking to this guy for a while, and we have grown to trust each other. But one day, a random girl adds me on Snapchat and starts cursing me out, calling me a homewrecker and other horrible names. Little did I know, this guy has been talking to another girl longer than we have been. The guy sent her conversation to this girl he's been talking to make her jealous. The girl who texted me was the girl's best friend. I talked to the guy and he said that he in fact has been talking to someone else, but it wasn't my fault at all. He said the girl has been making up lies about stuff he's been saying about me. I believed him and blocked the girl's best friend. Later on, my best friend decides to add this girl and give her a piece of her own medicine. I am thankful that my best friend decided to stick up for me, but obviously I wanted to help curse this girl out like she did a week before to me. Eventually, the guy I had been talking to left the other girl and decided to just keep talking to me. The other girl's still salty about it, but I heard from other people she treated him like shit anyways. So, am I the asshole for wanting to talk to this guy after this whole thing happened? Am I the asshole for not wanting to get back with my boyfriend? I am female 17 and he is male 19, and we started dating my junior year of high school. I was warned about him, but he didn't seem like anything other than a gentleman, so we started dating. As the relationship continued, he made me cut off all my friends and family and was extremely toxic and possessive. He was mentally abusive and would basically scream at me every night. He even went out with other girls after calling me a whore, so I broke up with him. He begged me to come back and we continued dating, but a couple months later I found out he was cheating on me again, and it was worse. We were on and off until my most recent birthday. I was on vacation and I did not want to follow any of his rules since I was with my family. The day of my birthday, he went out with a girl he told me not to worry about and turned off his location, so I stopped talking to him. I took that as the final straw and gave up on him and started to move on. I started talking to new people and I even made myself a Tinder. He is now begging for me to come back and telling me if I just apologize and give up everything, I can be his again. I am also starting college soon, and he said he wants to give me a list of things I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do while I'm there. So, am I the asshole for not wanting to give him another chance to be with me? Am I the asshole for stealing my friend's crush? I, female, met my friend, also female, about 2 years ago. About 6 months ago, I met a friend of hers. Let's call him Jason. So, me and Jason hit it off immediately. We always talk and hung out. At first, my friend would be like, "Is Jason free, or do you know what Jason is doing?" And I thought it was because she wanted to spend time with him. But oh, was I wrong. After he asked me out a few weeks ago, I said yes, and she messaged me a few days ago asking if me and Jason were dating. I told her yes and asked her how she found out. She said she found out through his bio. It was really new, so we didn't tell anyone yet. Then she started saying, "How could you do that to me? And I liked him, and you knew that." I didn't know what she was talking about, to be honest, because she never told me about her liking Jason. We had a whole feud about it and stopped talking. And then she messaged me again about a day or two ago saying how she didn't want to be friends. I told her that was alright because I knew the friendship wasn't going to last very long. So, am I the asshole? Story time about the time my best friend stole the guy I had a thing for. My senior year, I caught feelings for a guy and I fell really quickly. Keep in mind, he's been in love with my best friend for about 5 years. My best friend always said that she didn't like him, but he still went after her. I told my best friend I was going to tell him that I like him at the last volleyball game of the season. And I always told her I'd go through with it, but the day the volleyball game came, they got together. I was upset and crying for hours because this was the first real feelings I had for a guy, and it was just not a quick thing. As the school year went on, I felt like our relationship was over with my best friend. I went and tried to keep making it better, but she kept blowing me off, and at our Christmas party, we got in a huge fight. And I told her that she chose him over her best friend, and I felt kind of bad for blowing up in her face about it. But she knew that I liked him for 2 years, and she was dating him. The relationship is still going, and they just got engaged. I don't even know how to feel about it. Am I the asshole for getting mad at my boy best friend for lying to me? So me and my boy best friend, let's just call him John, are extremely close. Recently, he moved out of his mom's house in New York. Before he left, we were going to throw him a huge party for him as a going away present. Since we were so close, obviously I was going to go. And before he left, he said he was going to make the best out of our hometown, so he was hooking up with as many girls as he could. The day the party came, he called me saying it was canceled. Of course, I was visibly upset, but I didn't want him to know that it upset me the way that it did. Later that night, he posted on his story a picture with a girl at a party. I hate confrontations, so I just told him if he didn't want me there, he could have just said so. This pissed him off, and he said he just didn't want me around substances. We have been extremely close for years, so he knows that I smoke, and I refuse to drink. Eventually, he came around and apologized. But, am I the asshole for getting upset with him over it? You guys can always submit stories on my Instagram DM, thanks. Asshole for sleeping with my best friend's brother. My best friend and I have been friends since kindergarten. I've always been super close with her family and vice versa. When I was younger, I started to text her brother just as friends. We would talk about school, play video games, and just talk. We sort of lost touch over the year, but we still talked when I went over. Years go by and I'm a senior, he just graduated, and my best friend is a year behind me. I started going over to her house more, and I would begin seeing him all the time. We began texting and playing games again, and he admitted that he was attracted to me. And I was also attracted to him. It was his birthday, and I got us all a certain type of drink. So we all drank that drink and smoked. This was my first time being crossed, and we ended up hooking up. I had a pregnancy scare and we kept it to ourselves because we didn't want my friend to be upset. Honestly, I don't even know how it happened. It just kind of did. Months go by and she finds out and she flips on me and has been ignoring me. We have been friends forever and I don't want our friendship to go down the drain over this. I would never do it again. But she has called me awful names and told me she does not want to see me again. So should I give her time or just move on completely? Am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend then going to my ex's house the day after? So I was dating this guy, and let's call him Jake, and we were talking for 2 weeks and then he asked me out. Everything was fine for the first 3 weeks of our relationship. He would call other girls pretty in front of my face and tell me to my face that he would choose his friends over me and would play video games and ignore me. So one day I went to Texas with my friend and I told her how I feel about Jake. So then I talked to Jake about how I feel with him doing all this stuff. While we were in Texas, my ex, now boyfriend, unblocks me and snaps me. And we start talking about how much we've missed each other and stuff like that. And then I tell my friend that I think I have feelings for my ex. So after Texas, I come home and break up with Jake. And I didn't want to tell him I had feelings for someone else. So I told him I wasn't ready for a relationship. So I go to my ex's house the next day and we hook up. So, am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend and then going to my ex's house literally the next day? You guys can always spit stories on my Instagram DM. Am I the asshole for breaking up with my girlfriend? My girlfriend and I have had a relationship for a pretty long time. She has helped me through my depression and mental health. Recently, she's been working through her mental health and trauma. I just recently came out as pansexual and non-binary, and it caused her to get upset at me. She told me that non-binary didn't exist, even though that she's a trans woman. She later tried to change what she said, saying that she said for her it didn't exist. But what hurt even more is that she continued to say that she probably couldn't date me, but didn't break up with me yet. I think she didn't because she was scared of her mental health without me. Finally, I decided I wanted to break up with her. When I broke up with her, she was furious and started yelling at me, and she even threatened to unalive herself. Luckily, we worked it out, so she's not in a terrible spot, but I still feel terrible. So, am I the asshole for breaking up with her? And remember guys, you guys can always submit stories to me on my Instagram DM. Thank you. Am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend because of religion? My boyfriend and I came from the same religious backgrounds, but I wasn't as religious as him. After 2 years of dating, we decided to meet each other's families. My parents absolutely adored him, but his didn't. His sister was always super weird towards me. She made multiple comments about the way I dress and would eye me up and down all the time. Every time I had dinner with them, there was always a snarky comment about me not being super religious. My boyfriend tried to defend me, but it was useless. It didn't take me long to realize that his sister was jealous that my family didn't force me into being religious or into a certain dress code. I obviously had enough and said, in front of the whole table, that if she was jealous that I actually had a choice in my life, that's on her, and she shouldn't take it out on me. She ran out crying. My boyfriend blamed me. I told him I accepted his toxic behavior for way too long and said it'll just continue into marriage. He said that it wouldn't. I asked him how he knew that. He confessed that he was going to start convincing me slowly into being more religious, so his kids would have a good example. I asked if I wasn't religious, does that make me a bad mom? He said yes. I broke up with him. I'm an asshole for making rules about my unborn son that I expect my boyfriend's family to follow. I'm currently 22 weeks pregnant with a little baby boy. I live with my boyfriend and I made a lot of changes in where I go and who I see. Most of his intimate family is not vaccinated and does not plan on getting vaccinated, which makes me worry because I do not want to get sick, and when my baby is here, I do not want them to get sick either. I don't have any problems with his family, just their views on things don't exactly align with mine. My boyfriend's mom has a room at our house, but she doesn't really come over except for during the day sometimes. She also has a room at her daughter's house as well. I told my boyfriend when the baby comes that we'll move into his mom's room, the baby will have our room. When his sister found out, she did not like that idea. His family also comes over whenever they please without warning. I told him I want 2 weeks uninterrupted with the baby and no one can come over. When his mom found out, she was livid and says she has every right to see whoever she wants. They also got upset when I said I only wanted my boyfriend in the delivery room. I've also had some medical issues during this pregnancy as well, which is why I have these rules. So am I the asshole here? Am I the asshole for hooking up with the guy my friend was supposedly interested in? Guys, this is not my story. It was submitted by someone anonymously. I moved to a new country a couple of years ago and I've been living there ever since. I visit my home country at least twice every year to see my friends and family. I started to make some new friends where I live now, causing me to kind of leave behind my childhood friends. One of them calls me very often to check up on me, but I almost always forget to call her back, which really sucks. I'm now visiting my home country for the summer, and this friend started introducing me to some of her friends. One of them started flirting with me and I started to flirt back. My friend never told me she was interested in him, and every time me or another friend asked, she would wholeheartedly deny it. So I thought I was in the clear, so I started hooking up with him and flirting with him. Yesterday, she sent me a very angry text message saying I started flirting with him when I knew she was into him, which wasn't true. She also complained about us using her to make more friends since I barely had any here. So should I keep seeing him since I am genuinely interested in him, or should I drop it for the sake of my friend's feelings? I'm the asshole for hating my ex's new girlfriend. Guys, this is not my story. It was submitted anonymously. All of this started a year ago when I started talking to this guy. In the first 2 weeks, I already fell in love with him. We kept breaking up and getting back together though. Then 3 months later, he manipulated me and tried to ruin my life, and it worked. He would call me names, make rumors, expose personal things. After we broke up, this girl who liked him kept accusing me of cheating. saying I'm obsessed and making fun of me for something bad I did. He also liked her back, and they didn't date until maybe 7 months after. When I first found out, I was in shock because I really didn't like this girl, even though we were seen as friends. I tried to warn her about him, and she obviously did not believe me. She told people, and I got tons of calls from random people calling me a slut and telling me that I should unalive myself. I would try to defend myself, but it wouldn't work. They threatened to go to my house and hurt me. I lost a lot of friends and a lot of my happiness because of this. I tried to apologize to the girl, but it didn't work and it got worse. They are still happily together in a stable relationship, and then there's me, the most hated girl in town. So, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not wanting a relationship with my dad? Guys, this is not my story, it was submitted to me anonymously. When I was younger, my dad and I were really close. My parents had a very on and off relationship until I was in 2nd grade. When I was in 5th grade, my parents got married, and shortly after, my dad started drinking. He started treating me differently and had suspicions about him being an alcoholic, but I kept quiet. My dad would constantly slut shame me, and I'd be grounded for months at a time for little things like not finishing my dinner. One night when I was in 6th grade, we were in an argument and he snapped and pushed me down the stairs, then dragged me back up by my hair. I realized my suspicions were right and distanced myself. Beginning of 8th grade, my mom finally left him. He was destroyed by this and realized he needed to turn around. He went sober and has been since, but still doesn't admit to anything that he did. But he's trying to be a better dad. It has been almost a year, and for some reason, I just can't get over it. Him and my mom refused to send me to therapy, and I tried to do my own research to figure out what is wrong with me. Because of him, I have severe anxiety, am depressed, and anorexic. I wish I could get over it, but I just can't, and it's super hard to forgive him after everything. So, am I the asshole for not wanting a relationship? Am I the asshole for giving a guy my Instagram, then lying about it to my now ex-boyfriend? Guys, this is not my story, it was submitted to me anonymously. It may sound bad, and I know I shouldn't have lied about it, but hear me out. The guy didn't come off, at least in my perspective, in a flirty way, and I had a hard time saying no to people. Now, normally, I'd be the a-hole, but let me tell you a little bit about my ex. He was manipulative, controlling. One time I didn't answer the phone, and he threatened to slam my head into a wall. I remember staying up that night crying while trying to calm him down because I was scared for my life. I was generally scared of him. He wouldn't let me have any guy friends, and would get extremely jealous when I hung out with my other friends. I was scared to tell him certain things for the fear he would lash out. One of his ex-friends came up to me afterward after we broke up, saying that my boyfriend said he wished he was single and even whistled at girls when they went to the mall together, while we were together. So when I was at the mall, a guy asked for my Instagram and I just gave it to him. I don't like saying no, and I didn't think it was in a flirty way, just kind of like as friends. So am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for getting with my ex's best friend right when we broke up? So my ex and I started dating in October, and he became best friends with my guy best friend. My guy best friend and I had been shipped together by literally everyone, including teachers. Later in school, I became friends with my ex, and he became best friends with my guy best friend. My guy best friend liked me at the time, but I had no idea. My guy best friend and I would sleep on the call most nights, and it got to the point where I talked to my guy best friend more than my boyfriend, because he never had time for me. Less than a week after, we started hanging out about 3 times a week. We eventually caught feelings and started dating. He's still really close with my ex-boyfriend, and they hang out all the time. We're all in the same friend group, and everyone in the friend groups was like, oh, you did him wrong. I feel like the other girls in the friend group all gossip about me because they're way closer with my ex than me. My ex is cool with it. Me and my current boyfriend are still friends with him, but everyone else in my friend group said I was in the wrong when I am the happiest I've ever been. I may have dated 3 of the guys in the friend group, but they're all good with each other. So would I be the asshole for getting with my ex's best friend right when we broke up? Am I the asshole for breaking my ex's trust and talking to another guy? My relationship with my ex was like a fairy tale at first. I met him online and eventually caught feelings for him, and he liked me back. We started dating on New Year's and everything seemed like an online fairy tale, until all the red flags started coming along. He didn't talk about me to anyone, and he followed tons of accounts with half-naked women on them and barely even interacted with my posts. He made lots of comments that made me uncomfortable, and I honestly felt like he was using me, so I broke up with him. But we still hung out all the time and acted as if we were together. This did not change his treatment towards me and still had to act like everything revolved around him. I wanted to move on and I started talking to this other guy, and things got spicy. I thought it'd be perfect revenge to post about this guy in our exchanges. My ex saw this and got extremely pissed off and claimed that I was cheating on him. But we broke up around March. And if he can find people attractive in a relationship, why can't I outside of it? My ex is still very heartbroken over and says he can't trust anyone. I feel awful for what I did, but I wanted him to feel the same way that I did. We're working on our communication. But am I the asshole? Would that be considered cheating since we were not dating? Am I the asshole for liking a boy my best friend used to like? So my best friend really liked this boy for a couple of weeks. She would always hop from boy to boy, and it was honestly kind of annoying. We can call this boy Andrew, so Andrew and I got partnered for almost everything during the school year. I could kind of tell I was catching feelings, but I had to stop because I knew that she liked him. She stopped liking him and liked another boy now. So I thought, oh well, maybe I can like him now. I tried to keep it a secret until one day she started to joke about it and I got really awkward. So eventually I told her and she was super upset. I was really annoyed because she had said that she didn't like him anymore and was obsessing over a new boy at that time. And she hadn't liked him for a while, like at least 4 months. I told her that she needs to stop gatekeeping boy, and if she would have just told me she liked him in the first place, this wouldn't have happened. Not to mention, she liked the boy I was talking to and tried to ruin every relationship I've had. We are fine now, but she still makes little comments to this day. So, am I the asshole for liking a boy my best friend used to like? You guys can always submit stories on my Instagram DM. Thank you. Am I the asshole for liking my ex's best friend? I started going to a new school last year and I met this guy. We're gonna call him Ryan. This was mid-December and we started talking for a month and then started dating. It was really good at first, but then we started arguing a lot. It was around the 5-month period that I thought about breaking up with him, because I overall just wasn't happy. Once it hit the 6-month mark, I did break up with him. There were so many things wrong in our relationship, and he started talking to his ex again, and I did the same thing. I texted my ex, and he started talking to many new girls after, and it's only been a month since we broke up. I dropped my ex because it wasn't like that, but before Ryan and I started dating, I liked this other guy beforehand. We're gonna call him Mark. Well, then I told Mark I liked him and he rejected me, so I moved on. But when me and Ryan were dating, it turns out they were best friends. I started talking to Mark again a lot more, and I'm trying to give him hints that I like him again. So, am I the asshole for liking my ex's best friend? Keep in mind, I had no idea they were best friends until I started dating Ryan. You guys can always submit stories on my Instagram DM. The asshole for asking if my wife is jealous of our daughter? My daughter is in high school. And obviously, the school will be having a prom at the end of the year. My wife was talking to our daughter about her own prom. And then she mentioned she still owns the outfit that she wore, and showed our daughter a couple of pictures of it too. Later, when we were getting ready for bed, my wife noticed that her wardrobe was open. On closer inspection, she saw that the outfit that she was discussing earlier was gone. She went into our daughter's room to see her wearing it and taking pictures of herself in the mirror with it on. Obviously, having our daughter go into her wardrobe and try things on without asking was pretty annoying. But I thought my wife's reaction was a little extreme. She asked, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" and demanded that my daughter change out of it immediately. My daughter was almost in tears from how my wife spoke to her. I tried to speak to my wife about why she was so angry, but she kept saying our daughter is not to touch things without her permission. I totally understand that, but I don't get why she's so angry. My wife and daughter look very similar. They've been called sisters in the past, and based on this, I asked if my wife felt jealous about seeing our daughter in her dress. She got upset with that and said she was going to sleep in our spare room, and she won't talk to me. Am I the asshole for kissing my best friend? Me and my bestie have been friends for almost 7 years now. We are both female and queer, but our relationship is usually just platonic. But yesterday we hung out together, got drunk, and kissed. For me, it isn't a big deal because it's not awkward for either of us. But my friend posted a video of us kissing on her close friend's story on Snapchat. And that's totally fine with me too, because only her female friends are able to see her story. However, this girl I've been talking to for the past few months saw her story and texted me seeming pissed off. I didn't really get it because I always texted them first, and when we made plans to meet up, they canceled only a few hours before. So, obviously, I just kind of thought she wasn't really interested in more than a platonic relationship. But she's still pissed off at me, and I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong. So am I the asshole for kissing my best friend? And also, guys, I just wanted to let you guys know you guys can always submit stories on my Instagram DM. I have a lot to get through, but I'm trying to get to all of them. Thank you. Am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend because I got bored? I've been talking to this guy for almost 2 years, but he hadn't asked me out until recent. I tried asking him out before, but he said he didn't want a relationship or anything serious. I respected his decision and told him that it was okay, but he always got mad when I would hang out with other guys or talk to other people. A few months ago, he asked me to be his girlfriend. It was horrible. He would never text me first, didn't check up on me, and would even talk to other girls, telling them he was single. It was mentally exhausting and really confusing. I told him I was sick of putting in all this work. He proceeded to call me a slut and a bitch for making him believe I loved him. After we broke up, he became obsessed with me. He even made a fake Snapchat account pretending to be someone from my school just to talk to me and to see if I was with a new guy. His friends tell me that he's been recently really down about the breakup and that I should feel terrible about breaking up with him. So I'm just wondering, am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend because I got bored and he didn't put any effort into our relationship? Am I the asshole for moving on? My ex and I broke up in May, but we're still friends. We're all good, but we don't talk as much as we used to. One of my close guy friends started flirting and showing feelings. I really care and like him back and started flirting back as well. My ex asked me about it because me and the new guy have been hugging and saying very flirty things. We also have each other in each other's phones with hearts and all that type of stuff. I kind of just told my ex straight up that we liked each other and we're gonna see what will happen. I can kind of tell that he was sad, but honestly, I don't care. He treated me like shit and abused me in our relationship. One of our friends noticed that me and my new guy were kind of getting close and was super supportive. She even said, "I hope he treats you right, because if not, I'll fight him." Everyone in our friend group is super protective of me and supportive, but my ex is ignoring me and leaving me unseen. So, am I the asshole for moving on? If you want to submit a story time or even an Am I the Asshole, please submit it on my Instagram. Also, please read the rules in the highlight bar. Thank you! Am I the asshole for wanting to leave my boyfriend? My boyfriend is a racist, homophobic, and Christian. And I am Native American, transgender, and pansexual, and I just don't believe in God as well. My boyfriend loves a joke about my background as a native, and even lets his father do it as well. He labels us as some derogatory names, which I obviously find very rude. My boyfriend also dislikes that I say that I am male. He shit talks my friends in my friend group, and more than half of us are in the LGBTQ+ community. So obviously, I find it rude how ill he speaks about my friends. He likes to speak of God to me and how he will help me with my issues, as he quotes my issues as being trans and pan. I tell him I don't believe in God, and we fought about the subject a few times in the past, but I always end up apologizing to him. Plus, he hates it when I hold hands with someone in my friend group. He will literally grab my arm or even pull me away from them. So would I be the asshole for wanting to dump him? Oh, so you guys can always submit stories on my Instagram DM. Thank you. Am I the asshole for dating my friend's ex? So at the start of my freshman year, there was 5 people in my friend group. One of the boys who was the closest to me was named Jay. During this time, I was still figuring out my sexuality and things, so things were really confusing for me. I started to have a crush on him and just pressed it down because I did not want to ruin our friendship and not to make it weird with our friend group. During our junior year, it was really just us 2 in the friend group, and I really started to fall in love with him. But I didn't say anything. There's this new girl in our class, let's call her Emily, and she seems shy and quiet, and normally I don't spark up a conversation with people, but I decided to sit by her and start talking to her. We became friends immediately. She later tells me that she has a crush on Jay. My heart shatters, and I just push down those feelings. He later asked me out, and I just tell him no. And a couple months later, they start dating. They later break up, and me and her go to prom together to cheer her up. The next year, he starts getting really flirty with me, holding my hand, kissing me, hugging me. Then he asks me out. I tell him no, but over time, my feelings grow. My friend Emily gets mad at me for hanging out with him later on. Her and another friend just kind of team up and say that I was trying to steal him all along. He asks me out again, and I say yes. So am I the asshole for telling my sister that she is a selfish bitch? My sister and I have always had a really good relationship until recently. We moved and we are now sharing a room, and she is an absolute slob. When I ask her to clean up our mess, she tells me it's her room too, and that I cannot tell her what to do. A couple days ago, our little brother peed on her bed, and instead of taking off the sheets and putting them into the washer, she let them sit in the room all day. I came home and it smelt terrible, like unbelievably gross. I yelled at her. I said she really never thought about me, my feelings, or how I react. And then I also called her a selfish bitch. She went on, continuing saying that it's her room too. So I told her I'd be moving back. Then she continued apologizing, saying that she was so sorry and that she's gonna start working on it. So am I still the asshole for calling her a selfish bitch? If you guys want to submit stories like this, or am I the assholes and story times, you guys can always submit them on my Instagram DM. Thank you. Am I rude by saying my sister cannot use my baby name for her child? My sister and I are 10 years apart, but we've never really gotten along. And my grandfather gave me a middle name that was very special to him, because it was a name of his late sister who died a year after I was born. And my name means so much to me and I love it. One day, my sister, me, and my cousin were all reading our future kids' names, and she said my middle name. Everyone said I should appreciate it, that she wants to honor me by using my name for her kid. But she doesn't want to honor me or my grandfather's sister. She likes it because it sounds country. I told her no, and she made a big deal about it. I personally want to use it for my own kid's name. She yells at me, calling me selfish. But the difference is, I want to use it to honor my great aunt, and she likes it because it sounds country. My grandma's now making a joke that no one can use my middle name. My other sister and my grandfather are all on my side. Still then, she'll use it to tease me, and I hate it, and I don't want to talk about the situation because I don't want to make a big deal about it. None of us are having kids at the moment, but it still hurts. Am I being rude? Am I the asshole for cuddling with this guy in my friend group? So I have this friend group, and I recently got close with them, and we decided to go to the movies. My ex is in the same friend group. I obviously did not want to sit next to him. So one of my guy friends in that group asked to sit, and we sat together in the back and we cuddled. But this other girl in the friend group had a little fling with him, and I did know that. I asked her if it was okay with us cuddling, and she said yeah, that she didn't mind. And we were only touching each other during the movie, and after the movie we didn't do anything. Then, while everyone was going home, she started posting subs, and everyone sided with her. But we only did it for the movies, and we didn't think it was a big deal since she said that she didn't mind. Then it got solved, and we're all cool about it. Then, in the group chat, he started flirting with me, clearly as a joke. And I obviously said something back as a joke, and they all got mad at me, and did not get mad at him at all. So was I the asshole for cuddling with this guy? Even though the girl he had a fling with totally said it was fine. And guys, you guys can always submit stories to me on my Instagram DM. Thank you. Am I the asshole for dropping my friend of 8 years because of a joke? I've been out as bisexual to anyone for around 3 years now. And even though I live in the South, a lot of people support me. And I rarely hear ugly remarks about it. except on the internet or a few remarks in person. My friend and I have been friends for 8 years. We call almost every day for hours at a time, and lately he's been saying the F slur. He never called anyone it, but just kinda said it. And I tried telling him the meaning and why it's harmful, explaining that I had been called the F slur and how I felt about it. And for the next few calls, he didn't say it, so I figured he stopped saying it. Well, then my friend was over and he called and I answered, and he called me and my friends the F slur. And I snapped and told him that he was immature and a horrible person. I personally do not think I'm in the wrong, but a lot of people I know think I'm overreacting because he's young. So, I'm just wondering, am I the asshole for dropping my friend of 8 years because of a joke that he made? Also guys, if you guys want to submit stories, you guys can always submit them on my Instagram DM. Thank you. Am I the asshole for thinking that my boyfriend cheated on me? My boyfriend and I have had a good relationship for a while. He introduced me to his friends and held my hand around school. Everything was going fine until one day I come into school and see a girl I've never seen before jump into his arms and him spinning her around. I got really upset and didn't talk to him for the whole day. He texted me and asked what was up. I said nothing and went about my day. The next day I go to school and see the same girl laying on his shoulder and then holding hands. I get pissed and tell my friends. When he texted me to ask why I was ignoring him, my friend texted him and cursed him out for cheating on me. He said that she was just his best friend and that her dad died. I didn't even feel bad. I just felt angry because she knew he had a girlfriend. I cut him off. He drunk called me multiple times and apologized. And when I wouldn't forgive him, he just called me a dumb bitch. Texted me again saying that he's sorry and he's changed. I told him what he did was unforgivable and that I could never be with him again because of how he hurt me. He keeps texting me wanting to get back together with me. He thinks he didn't cheat.